Have you ever noticed that the woman a man cannot forget is rarely the one who tried the hardest? She is not the woman who chased him constantly, not the woman who begged for attention, not even the most beautiful woman in the room, yet somehow she becomes unforgettable. She stays in his thoughts long after conversations end, long after distance grows, long after silence appears. And according to Carl Jung, this has nothing to do with looks or perfection. It has everything to do with energy. Because attraction does not begin with effort, it begins with mystery. Most women are taught that love requires proving their worth, giving more, explaining more, being available all the time, responding instantly, sacrificing emotional space just to keep a connection alive. But paradoxically, the more a woman tries to secure a man emotionally, the less fascinated he becomes. Not because he is cruel, but because human psychology responds differently to emotional energy than most people realize. A man becomes obsessed when he feels discovery, not possession. The feminine energy Jung described is not loud. It is not desperate, it is not controlling. It is deeply grounded, emotionally centered, and quietly powerful. It does not chase validation. It does not compete for attention, it simply exists with self-certainty. And this certainty creates psychological tension inside a man's mind. He begins to wonder, he begins to analyze. He begins to chase emotionally without even understanding why. The modern world teaches visibility, constant communication, and emotional availability. But obsession is born in emotional space, not emotional overload. When a woman is always present, always explaining herself, always reassuring a man, his brain relaxes into predictability, and predictability kills fascination. But when a woman carries calm emotional independence, something different happens. She listens more than she explains. She feels deeply, but does not rush to prove it. She enjoys connection without losing herself inside it. And suddenly the man experiences something rare. Uncertainty mixed with admiration, and uncertainty activates desire. Jung believed every man carries within him an unconscious image of the feminine, what he called the anima, a psychological inner feminine that represents mystery, emotion, creativity, and depth. And when a real woman reflects this inner image without forcing it, she awakens something ancient inside his psyche. He does not just like her, he feels drawn toward understanding her. This is why some women receive endless effort without asking for it, while others give everything yet feel ignored. The difference is not effort. It is energetic position. One seeks validation, the other embodies value. A woman operating from feminine energy does not ask, how do I keep him interested? Instead, her presence silently asks, can you meet me where I stand emotionally? And this reverses attraction completely, because men are naturally pulled toward emotional challenge, not emotional certainty handed to them too easily. When a woman stops performing for love and begins experiencing life fully, something shifts. She laughs freely. She invests in herself. She allows silence without fear. She becomes emotionally self-contained, and paradoxically, this independence makes her more emotionally magnetic. The man senses that her happiness does not depend on him, and instead of feeling unnecessary, he feels invited into something meaningful. He wants to earn space inside her world. Obsession begins the moment admiration meets emotional distance. Not coldness, not manipulation, but self-respect. Many women misunderstand feminine energy as playing games or pretending not to care. But true feminine energy is authenticity without emotional chasing. It is warmth without neediness, openness without surrendering identity. And men subconsciously recognize this difference immediately. Because deep inside every human psyche exists a longing for depth, not convenience. When a woman respects her own emotional boundaries, she communicates something powerful without words. She shows that connection with her is valuable, rare, and meaningful. And rarity creates psychological attachment. A man begins replaying conversations, wondering about her thoughts, imagining future interactions, not because she tried to impress him, but because she did not try to control the outcome. Control removes mystery, presence creates it. Think about the woman men often remember years later. She was not always available. She did not argue for attention. She did not collapse emotionally when distance appeared. Instead, she remained emotionally whole. She connected deeply yet remained centered within herself, and this balance activates fascination. Because obsession grows when a man feels both comfort and challenge simultaneously. Too much comfort creates boredom. Too much challenge creates withdrawal. Feminine energy exists exactly between these two forces. It allows closeness but protects individuality. Jung's psychology suggests that attraction becomes powerful when a person mirrors unconscious desires rather than conscious expectations. And feminine energy does exactly that. It speaks to emotion rather than logic. It invites pursuit without demanding it. It inspires curiosity without pressure. And curiosity is the birthplace of obsession. When a woman stops chasing clarity every moment, a man begins seeking clarity himself. When she stops asking where she stands, he begins wondering where he stands with her. Energy reverses, effort reverses, emotional investment reverses, and suddenly the man who once felt secure becomes emotionally alert because mystery has returned. Feminine energy does not trap a man, it awakens him. It reminds him of emotional depth he rarely encounters in a world filled with noise, validation seeking, and constant availability. And once a man feels this depth, forgetting it becomes almost impossible. But here is the truth most people never realize. Feminine energy is not something you perform for a man, it is something you become for yourself. The moment a woman reconnects with her own emotional world, her passions, her boundaries, her calm confidence, she naturally shifts from seeking attraction to embodying it. An embodiment cannot be ignored. A man may walk away from beauty, from attention, even from affection. But he struggles to walk away from a feeling he cannot replace. That feeling is feminine presence. And this is only the beginning of understanding why some women become unforgettable while others remain temporary chapters. Because in the next part, we will uncover the psychological triggers that silently pull a man deeper into obsession without a woman saying a single word. The moment feminine energy is truly understood, something surprising happens. Attraction stops feeling like effort and starts becoming a natural psychological response. Because according to Carl Jung, obsession is never created by force. It is created when unconscious desires are activated without direct intention. And this is where most relationships silently change direction without either person realizing why. Many women believe a man becomes attached because of constant attention, emotional reassurance, or proving loyalty again and again. But the masculine psyche does not bond through certainty alone, it bonds through emotional discovery. When a man feels he is still discovering layers of a woman, his brain releases fascination instead of comfort. And fascination keeps emotional investment alive. Feminine energy works because it allows emotional unfolding rather than emotional exposure all at once. Instead of revealing every thought immediately, she reveals herself gradually, naturally, without strategy, without manipulation, simply by living authentically in her emotional rhythm. And this rhythm creates anticipation. Anticipation is powerful because the human brain values what it must emotionally earn. When everything becomes predictable, attraction slowly fades into familiarity. But when emotional presence remains calm yet slightly mysterious, curiosity grows stronger. A woman rooted in feminine energy does not rush emotional intimacy. She allows connection to breathe. She enjoys conversation without trying to control its direction. She shares warmth without demanding emotional guarantees. And this subtle emotional patience creates psychological tension inside a man. He begins investing thoughts, attention, and imagination into her. And imagination is where obsession truly begins. Because what the mind imagines often becomes more powerful than what reality provides. Jung explained that projection plays a major role in attraction. A man unconsciously projects his inner feminine ideals onto a woman who feels emotionally balanced and self-contained. He sees depth, softness, strength, and mystery combined. And this combination awakens something deeply personal inside him. Suddenly she represents more than a person. She represents a feeling he wants to understand, protect, and experience again. This is why feminine energy never needs to compete for attention. It naturally separates itself from emotional chaos. While others chase validation, she remains centered. While others react impulsively, she responds thoughtfully. And this emotional stability signals high value without words. Men are instinctively drawn toward emotional environments that feel peaceful yet stimulating. Feminine energy creates exactly this experience. It feels safe but never boring, warm but never overwhelming, present but never dependent, and dependence is where attraction often collapses. Because when emotional survival appears tied to a man's approval, pressure replaces desire. But when a woman remains emotionally fulfilled within herself, the connection transforms into choice rather than obligation, and choice feels powerful. A man begins choosing her repeatedly because he feels emotionally alive around her. He notices that conversations with her linger in his mind longer than expected. He remembers small details, subtle expressions, quiet moments, and these memories replay because emotional impact was created without force. Feminine energy communicates self-worth silently. It does not argue for respect, it assumes it, and assumption changes perception. When a woman behaves as if her time, emotions, and attention are valuable, others begin treating them as valuable too. This is not arrogance, it is emotional clarity. She knows who she is regardless of external validation, and this inner grounding stabilizes attraction. Jung believed individuals become magnetic when they integrate their inner world instead of abandoning it for approval. A woman connected to herself radiates authenticity, and authenticity feels rare in a world driven by performance. Men sense this authenticity even if they cannot explain it logically. They feel calmer around her yet more emotionally alert. This paradox creates attachment, because emotional comfort combined with curiosity activates long-term interest. Another powerful aspect of feminine energy is emotional restraint. Not suppression but intentional pacing. She does not react instantly to every emotional fluctuation. She allows space before responding. She processes feelings internally before expressing them. And this emotional maturity communicates depth. A man feels he is engaging with someone emotionally grounded rather than emotionally reactive. And grounded energy creates trust. Trust deepens emotional investment. Emotional investment evolves into attachment. And attachment slowly transforms into obsession. But the obsession formed through feminine energy is not unhealthy fixation. It is admiration fueled by emotional respect. The man does not feel controlled, he feels inspired to move closer. He wants to understand her perspective. He wants to earn emotional closeness. He wants to become worthy of her presence. And effort born from admiration lasts longer than effort born from fear of loss. Feminine energy also embraces silence without anxiety. Silence becomes comfortable rather than threatening. Many relationships fail because silence is interpreted as rejection. But a woman rooted in feminine energy understands that emotional connection does not require constant communication. She allows absence without panic, and absence strengthens appreciation. When a man experiences emotional space, he has time to reflect on how she makes him feel. Reflection intensifies attachment. He begins missing her presence not because she disappeared dramatically, but because her energy created emotional impact strong enough to linger. This lingering emotional resonance is the foundation of obsession. He checks messages more often, remembers her voice, wonders what she is doing, imagines future interactions. And these thoughts arise naturally because emotional depth was experienced rather than demanded. Feminine energy therefore becomes powerful not through action, but through presence. It transforms attraction into psychological engagement. The man feels connected not only to her personality, but to the emotional state he experiences around her. And humans always return to feelings that make them feel alive. Yet there is one final psychological shift that turns fascination into lasting obsession. A shift most people never recognize until it is too late. And in the next part we will reveal the deepest reason a man becomes unable to emotionally replace a woman who truly embodies feminine energy. The final truth about feminine energy is the one rarely discussed, because it has nothing to do with techniques, attraction tricks, or manipulation. It is about psychological imprinting. And according to Carl Jung, human beings do not become obsessed with people. They become obsessed with how someone makes them feel about themselves. This is why a man may meet many women yet only one remains permanently in his emotional memory. She becomes unforgettable not because she demanded attention but because she awakened a version of him he rarely experiences. Feminine energy does not chase love, it creates emotional reflection. When a woman is deeply connected to herself, she allows a man to feel seen without feeling judged, understood without feeling controlled, desired without feeling trapped. And this emotional freedom becomes addictive. Because freedom combined with connection is psychologically rare, most relationships unconsciously operate through fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of losing interest. But feminine energy removes fear from interaction. It replaces pressure with presence. Instead of asking where is this going, she experiences what is happening now. And this grounded awareness changes emotional dynamics completely. The man stops feeling evaluated and starts feeling inspired. He becomes more expressive, more attentive, more emotionally invested, not because she requested it, but because her energy invites emotional growth naturally. Jung described individuation as the process of becoming whole within oneself. And a woman who embodies feminine energy has already begun this process. She does not seek completion through another person, she shares wholeness instead. And wholeness is magnetic because it removes emotional desperation. When emotional need disappears, attraction transforms into admiration. Admiration evolves into respect, and respect is the root of lasting obsession. Many men experience attraction frequently but rarely experience emotional admiration. Admiration occurs when a woman maintains her identity even while loving deeply. She does not abandon her passions, her boundaries, or her emotional stability to secure affection. She remains herself fully. And this authenticity challenges a man to rise emotionally rather than remain passive. He begins investing effort willingly because he senses her value is independent of his approval. Independence paradoxically strengthens attachment because it eliminates emotional complacency. He understands that connection with her is a privilege, not a guarantee, and the human mind protects what feels meaningful and rare. Another reason feminine energy creates obsession is emotional contrast. She brings calm into chaos, depth into superficial interaction, patience into impulsive environments, and this contrast makes experiences with her emotionally memorable. Memory strengthens attachment, attachment deepens emotional reliance, and emotional reliance becomes longing whenever distance appears. This longing is not created through absence alone, but through emotional resonance. The man associates her presence with emotional clarity, confidence, and inner peace. And once a person becomes linked with positive emotional transformation, the mind resists letting go. This is why men often return emotionally to women who embodied feminine energy even after separation. Because replacement becomes difficult, others may offer attention or beauty, but they do not recreate the emotional experience he once felt. Jung believed the unconscious constantly seeks integration with lost emotional symbols, and a woman who awakened deep emotional awareness becomes one of those symbols. She represents growth, inspiration, and emotional awakening. Forgetting her would mean disconnecting from a meaningful part of his own psychological evolution. Feminine energy therefore leaves an imprint beyond attraction. It becomes part of his emotional identity, but here lies the most powerful realization. Feminine energy is never performed to create obsession. The moment it becomes performance, it loses authenticity. True feminine energy exists when a woman lives aligned with her values, honors her emotional boundaries, nurtures her inner world, and allows love to meet her rather than chasing it endlessly. She does not fear losing someone because she has not lost herself. And self-possession creates emotional gravity. People naturally move toward those who are deeply rooted in who they are. A man becomes obsessed, not because she tried to hold him, but because she never needed to. She offered connection without surrendering individuality, warmth without dependency, intimacy without emotional control. And this balance creates a psychological experience powerful enough to remain long after moments pass. In the end, the feminine energy that secretly obsesses a man is not mystery alone, not beauty alone, not silence alone. It is emotional wholeness expressed through presence, confidence, and authenticity. When a woman stops asking how to be chosen and begins choosing herself, she transforms from someone seeking love into someone embodying it. And the paradox is simple yet profound. The less she tries to become unforgettable, the more impossible she becomes to forget. Because true feminine energy does not chase attention. It creates emotional impact that lingers in the mind, echoes in memory, and quietly calls a man back again and again. Not through force, but through feeling. And that feeling is what turns attraction into obsession and connection into something timeless. Asterisk.